Boker Tov, on this beautiful Sunday morning, Shabbos Parshat Chayei Sarah, which means the life of Sarah. But of course, anyone that reads the Torah portion realizes that the opening verse tells us about Sarah's passing and not her life. And the subsequent Torah portion speaks about the things that happened after her passing and not during her life. And the question, of course, is, why is it called Chayei Sarah, the life of Sarah? Also, interestingly, the rabbis in the Talmud tell us something very remarkable. That Esther, Queen Esther, was a reincarnation, lived on the story of Sarah. And how do we know that? Because it says Sarah's life was 127 years. But Queen Esther, it says that she and Achashverosh, they had 127 provinces under their jurisdiction. And the rabbis make this comparison and say Esther was a reincarnation and continued the life of Sarah. But what does this all mean? And the Rebbe in one of his talks says something very powerful. He says that although Sarah passed away in this week's Torah portion, it was only the physical that passed away. But Sarah continued to live through the impact she had and the things and the ideals she lived for. For example, she really wanted Isaac to marry someone from where she came from in Haran, and that's what takes place in this week's Torah portion. She really wanted Abraham to continue the dream that God made and promised that Isaac will be a great nation and will have the land of Israel. And she pushed for her husband to buy a piece of the land. And of course, in this week's Torah portion, we learn about the first acquisition immediately when Abraham buys the plot of Machpelah for his wife Sarah. So really, although Sarah didn't continue to live physically, but spiritually, her life continued. And you see, Sarah is considered the mother of the Jewish people because she gave birth to the first Jew. But it's not enough to give birth to the first Jew. It was Esther, through her heroism, that continued that by not just giving birth to the Jews, but saving them physically. When she put her life on the line to go to the king to save the Jewish people, she became the equivalent of Queen of Sarah, which also means princess, the mother of the Jewish people. Because the ultimate thing as a Jew is to protect our Jewish brothers and sisters and to continue their life. And that's really what life means. It's not about the physical life only, but about the values we live in. You know, over the weekend, 2 soldiers were murdered. Today, another one, which brings the harrowing number to 797. And last night, I saw on the internet something that was so painful to me, and it gave us a glimpse into the story of one of these soldiers, and it made me think about all the other hundreds and hundreds of soldiers and their families like him. And the story is about this boy, the soldier who was killed on Thursday was a guy, Ivri Dichstein. Ivri Dichstein was a soldier in Lebanon, and on Thursday he was killed, leaving behind his wife Miriam, who he just married only a year earlier, and leaving behind parents and 5 siblings. The funeral was on Friday. You can imagine how the funeral felt for the family and for all those that were there. And after the funeral, his wife Miriam reluctantly started heading home. And she got a call that there was a delivery for her at the house. And she figured that someone was sending her condolences, and she said, just leave it at the door. She came home, she opened up, and she saw this beautiful bouquet of flowers and box of chocolates. But with it was a note. And the note was from her husband, Ivri. Ivri, knowing that he wouldn't be home for Shabbat, sent a gift of flowers and chocolate to his wife. And he tells her that, don't worry about me, I'm fine. I'm here fighting for my people. He says, I'm hoping this is my last round. He was supposed to finish the Miluim, his reserve duty, next week, but he said, I felt bad that I wouldn't be with you for Shabbos. So here is these chocolates and flowers. Hold your head high. Be proud. I love you more than anything else in the world. Love your husband, Ivri. He wrote this thinking that he would be home, and sending it to his wife. But it only came to her after he passed, as she was coming home from his funeral. But the truth is, it's so painful to hear these stories. But when we think about these heroic soldiers, men and women, every single one of them is like Queen Esther. Every single one of them is like our matriarch, Sarah. And it's our responsibility that although they were murdered from us, murdered and taken from us at such young ages, leaving so many open wounds amongst the Jewish people, that we make sure that those ideals they lived for, the commitment, the courage, the strength, continues to live on in a way that their lives will be just like Chaye Sarah, that even after she passed, continued to live. May Hashem comfort all those families and give us the vision and the strength and the commitment and the courage to continue their lives. God bless you. Have a great